In this tutorial, we are going to discuss how to make a pie graph. But before we do that, I want to give you a quick tip on a very useful trick in Excel called the fill handle. And the fill handle refers to this little square you see at the edge of any selected cell. What the fill handle does is detect patterns. So I'm going to show you the easiest one, which is if you just put a number in here, highlight that cell, and then click the fill handle and drag down, it will replicate whatever is in that cell. So if I type a word, same thing. Highlight the cell, click the fill handle, drag down, it replicates the word over and over. This is cute and can be useful if you need to type something a whole bunch of times. But the far more powerful use is to detect patterns. So I put a really simple pattern in here, the numbers 1, 2, 3. I'm going to select all of them, click the fill handle, and drag down. And we see Excel adds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And it'll do this forever. It'll do this at 65,000-ish. So this is very useful. And it actually is pretty good at detecting patterns. If you get a sample of about 3, so here's 5, 10, 15. Take the fill handle and drag it down, and there's Excel counting by 5. These are all useful. These are nice tricks. But the really important one, and the one I want you to be aware of, is that Excel will also copy formulas. So let's say I have 4 here and 8 in this cell, and in this cell I want them to multiply those values. So I will say equals B3 times C3. All right, so what's 8 times 4? We would expect the answer here to be 32, and indeed it is. So this is cool, right? So let's start to put some other numbers in these rows. All right, 8, 16, 24. So right here, we've just generated a whole bunch of numbers. And remember, until D3, we have this formula. The formula is right here. It's the value in B3 times the value in C3, so 4 times 8. So if I use the fill handle and drag this down, it's not just going to copy 32. It's going to copy the formula and then replace it for the relevant rows. So in this case, it says what's B4 times C4? 5 times 16 is indeed 80. And if I do this again, it'll multiply these two numbers, and we can do this many, 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 many times. This is the nice trick. Okay, this is very helpful to us, and it saves us a lot of time in Excel. There's a couple other nice uses for the fill handle. So you can get to detect months, and it will fill down months. It actually does not do letters. It'll try and detect a pattern. If I put in 3 letters, it'll just repeat ABC, ABC, ABC over and over again. So this is what I want you to be aware of, but most important is this idea of copying functions, all right? I also want to let you know that the fill handle does work horizontally. So if I go 1, 2, 3 in a row here, drag them out this way, it'll finish out my row. Okay, so that's going to be really useful in just a second here as we start to make our pie graph. So go back to your coffee shop file and go to your sales tab at the bottom. And you'll see here that previously with the line graph, we worked with the units sold. But in this particular tutorial, we want to look at the dollar amounts. And the first thing you need to do is generate some dollar amounts for the columns muffins, cookies, sandwiches, and salads. All right, so to keep the sheet looking nice, you'll see over here we have the prices for these things. All we've done in any of the columns that say dollars is to multiply the unit price in the previous cell in the row times the dollar amount for an espresso. So there were 2 espressos sold at this time unit. This is 7 in the morning. There were 2 espressos sold. And espressos cost $6.50. So 2 times $6.50 is 13. That's exactly what this formula is doing. All right, so all I've done here, I'm just going to delete these values so you can see. is put in a formula that multiplies the value in this unit times the price of an espresso, 6.50. Okay, so this is E3 times 6.5. Let's fill it down once just to see, and we should see E4 times 6.5. The value in E4 is 1. So there we go. So I'm going to re-put this column all the way down. Whenever you do this, it's good to just generally check and pick a few. 0 times 6.5 should be 0. 5 times 6.5 is 32.5. So it looks like we're doing well there. For the case of muffins, cookies, sandwiches, and salads, I want you to insert some rows or to insert some columns and then practice these same calculations before you make your pie graph. Okay. So the best way to insert a row is click to the row immediately to the right of where you want your column to appear. Sorry, I said row. I meant column. So we want muffins dollars to be immediately to the right of muffins. So I'm going to click the row to the right of it, cookies, then go up here to the top and click insert. I right-clicked on the column title and chose insert. All right, that puts a blank column just to the left of whichever column I had selected. Let's title this one Muffins Dollars. All right, and just like I said, the price of a muffin is $1.50, and let's multiply the value for muffins at any given time times $1.50. So that equals I3 times 1.5. That's exactly what we would expect. Let's fill it down once just to check. All right, 3 times 1.5 should be 4.5. Looks like we're going well, so I'm going to fill handle this down to the bottom of the sheet. Okay, I want you to go ahead and practice that with cookies, sandwiches, and salads. Just right-click, insert a row, title this one Cookies Dollars, write the correct formula here, and fill handle it down, and repeat the same thing for sandwiches and salads. I'm going to delete this column just so the sheet looks clean for the minute. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do to make a pie graph that gives good information is to add up all of these numbers. So there's another formula that we're going to type here, and you need to see where your information starts. So our information for coffee dollars starts in the 7 o'clock to 7:30 window, and that's in cell D3, right? So we see D3 here. And it ends in cell D35. So what I want Excel to do is add up all the values in D3 to D35. Now this won't work, that's a minus sign. The formula you want is sum, open parentheses, D3, colon, D35. Make sure you close parentheses. Do that correct, the number 788 should appear here. Now, like I said, Excel fill handles will work both vertically and horizontally. So what if I was a mean teacher, I'd make you do is write the same formula for everyone. So let's try and sum up the number of customers, for example, but you know how to use the fill handle, so what you should do is just drag over, and it's going to sum all those columns for us. You can actually also drag it backwards, it works as well. So for our pie graph, what I want to do is I want to see how much percentage of money is coming in for each of my products. In this particular case, it looks like, I'm going to need to expand my window here just a little bit so you can see. It looks like coffee's making more money than espressos, but how much more? That's a little hard to tell. So I'm going to make a pie chart. It displays percentages. Now, it's a little bit tricky here. Again, you have to make sure you're selecting the right values. And in this particular case, the first thing you might try is to select all the dollar values using control like we practiced. Go to insert at the top and go to pie chart and then create a pie chart. This will give you a chart, and this chart is actually accurate, but these labels they don't mean anything. What's 1? What's 2? All right, so we can manually enter those, but if we select our column headings as well, we can get Excel to do that work for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by selecting my column headers. Again, clicking one, then holding the control key and clicking the rest of them, and I'm selecting all the ones with dollars in them. And while the control key is still held down, clicking those final formulas at the bottom, again, making sure I'm selecting only the dollars columns. It doesn't make any sense for me to compare espresso dollars to the number of water bottles sold. I always want to make sure I'm comparing like units. And in this case, like units are all the dollars columns. Okay. So once those are selected, I'm going to click on Insert back on the top, go to Pie, and create my pie chart. And this time it's quite a bit better because I do have those labels. I make this a little bit bigger to make it a little bit easier to see. So this is a pretty good chart. One thing that you will notice about pie charts is that people have a hard time guessing how much. You know, is this blue area 60%? Is it 70%? Is it 55%? If you hover over it, it'll actually tell you it's 54%. But we'd really like just to put that information on the graph. And this is something I always suggest when you're making a pie chart. Put the percentages directly on it. The easiest way to do this is to make sure the graph is highlighted. And right up here, click Layout 2. And that's going to add our percentages right onto the graph. Okay. As always, make sure you have a title. Titles are important. So this is percentages of sales of food and beverages in dollars. And there we go. This is a pretty good pie chart. Yours will have a couple more columns because I do want you to do cookies, sandwiches, and salads. So instead of 4 sections, yours should have 7 sections. Once you're done with it, just like we did with the line graph, right-click it and move your chart, and make sure you move it to the graph sheet. And that's what it should look like. All right. Good luck with your assignment, and be sure to send an email if there's something you do not understand. Thanks, guys.